Oculus Innovative Sciences manufactures and markets a patented technology which prevents wounds from getting infected and accelerates their healing. Welcome to today's CEO Signature Series. I'm Sasha Salama. Founded in 1999 and headquartered in Petaluma, California, Oculus went public in January 2007 with the ticker symbol OCLS. Hoji Alimi is co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Oculus Innovative Sciences. Welcome. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Good morning, Sasha. Thanks for having me here.
First off, let's talk about the patented technology that you have for Microcyn, which is essentially, as I understand it, a water-based solution that cleans wounds. Tell us what it is and what makes it unique.
Well, good question. Sasha, Microcyn is the only technology worldwide that is available that can eradicate infection. And we are talking about fungus, we're talking about yeast, we're talking about MRSA, which I'm sure you have heard about on CNN, on antibiotic-resistant strains of bacteria that now challenges the hospital markets. Not only we kill infection, but we also accelerate wound healing. So this is a technology that has also significant human clinical data behind it. There has been 23 clinical trials done on this technology. We have worldwide approvals on this technology. It's already commercialized in Mexico, parts of Europe. We just recently announced opening up a huge market opportunity, which is China. We actually have 3 FDA approvals in U.S. For certain indications, and now most recently we also announced fabulous data out of our phase 2 clinical trials.
In your most recent quarterly results, you talked about how actually you're looking to, you have cut your expenses internationally, and your real priority now is to get FDA approval of Microcyn as a drug, which I guess is a much broader application. So how will these phase 2 trial results help you toward that end?
We gave guidance to the market since a year ago when we went public. We made the drug approval process in U.S. as a priority in the company. We allocated a lot of resources to that, and we completed our phase 2. Now that phase 2 data means significant, it may have significant impact on going to the agency, hopefully, and get a favorable response so we can initiate our next stage of clinical trials in the United States, where we actually showed 93% efficacy against one of those most potent antibiotics in the world, which is levofloxacin, in treatment of mildly infected diabetic ulcers, where they showed only 52% efficacy. Now, what additionally this data means is that now we can use this data in other markets where the product is already commercially available. We are talking about Mexico, we are talking about Europe, we are talking about China. These are where we can actually take this data, where we are legally marketing the product. And then lastly is talking about partnerships. Now we can go to other potential partners and say, here's controlled randomized trial data against one of the most potent antibiotics in the market. So we are hoping some advances on those fronts.
China's equivalent of the FDA gave approval to Microcyn, as you alluded to. So what is the market potential here?
Let's step back and let's clarify the market opportunity. Because sometimes I talk to some shareholders and they say, well, the stock went up $1, it went down 50 cents, or you think short term. Obviously, we are responsible both short term and long term. But if you sit back and look at the market potential, and what personally I look at Oculus is, you have a technology that is as safe as saline. It can kill infection, it can improve wound healing, and it can be used not in treatment of infected wounds only, which you're talking about wound care market. It's a $9 billion market we're talking about. Now this product can be used in ophthalmology. We have different formulations of this technology. We can open up upper respiratory infection, which we did announce to the market that we have a term sheet from a very reputable drug company in U.S. That we are going through due diligence, and at some point we are hoping to announce hopefully a partnership with that company. Then you're talking about other areas such as animal care, which we actually announced a deal with Balco International. So this technology is almost like an octopus. It has legs in multiple markets. And so we are starting with wound care to validate the technology.
Dermatology and the dental markets, I understand, also are potential markets.
Absolutely.
So you're starting with wound care as your top priority, and it sounds like there, as you use the octopus analogy, there are a lot of permutations.
Absolutely.
Down the road.
Absolutely. And the way we're going to do this so that from a business sense, these markets don't cannibalize on each other is that there are specific formulations that will be used and commercialized for different indications. So in other words, it's not going to be the exact same formulation, for example, in ophthalmology versus what's going to be used in wound care. So that's one way that we're going to separate these markets. And then, again, because of this significant market opportunity ahead of us, that's why it makes sense then to start looking for partners that they already have established distribution channels in those markets, and we can accelerate the commercialization.
In terms of the patient point of view here, for somebody that has a wound or has something that's about to be amputated, your product really helps in that scenario. Tell us about the benefits.
Good question, because on a personal note, we do receive daily phone calls, and we do get calls from patients, especially from markets where the product is already approved for eradicating infection.
And what do they tell you? What are you hearing?
We hear patients are in tears, and not to create a drama around this, but literally you're talking about real people with real names, with real families. And these are people with infected ulcers that smell so bad that their own family can't tolerate sitting next to them because of the odor coming out of these wounds. There is no blood flow. Antibiotic doesn't work because it doesn't flow into the wound bed. So this really becomes the only alternative therapy for them that prevents the amputation, saves their limb. Actually, I got a call about a year ago. I will never forget that call. It was from a patient that we saved her limb, and then she called and she was crying and she was thanking everybody at our company for saving her limb. And when you see that kind of an impact on a day-to-day basis, it's amazing. It's really rewarding.
And then from the hospital point of view, you had a recent study in Pakistan of 100 people with diabetes-infected wounds, and it showed hospital stays were shortened significantly. Tell us a bit about the results of that.
Well, there has been numerous studies done to date, and let me just boil it down what they mean. If you look at the clinic, they have a fixed cost, and the cost relates to, for example, the salary of the physician, the nurse, the rent, basic things that you have to pay. That's the fixed cost. So the faster you turn patients through that cycle, the more profitable it becomes. So when you look at a technology that accelerates wound healing by 45 to 55%, that has an amazing financial impact on a clinic. And so we have seen that throughout the markets worldwide, as well as in the United States. In US, as I said previously, we have 510K approval. So in other words, we can claim that our product is as good as saline for debriding and cleaning and moistening wounds. And we use that label claim to test market. We wanted to understand physician behavior, how clinics are going to use our product. Are we going to get the same consistent message from US market as we do in Europe and elsewhere? And the message has been very consistent. And so once we get this drug approval, then we have a very sound understanding of how to market this product to hospitals and clinics.
How are you funding your operations at this point? Because like many companies that are coming out with new products and testing and clinical trials, you're not making money yet. So
correct.
How are you doing that?
Well, as you know, in large drug companies, really taking a drug from a concept from back of a napkin, if I can use that terminology, to commercialization takes close to $800 million, roughly. So it is a humongous task. But the beauty of our technology and the company is we did commercialize the technology, so we do have some revenue. Last year we reported almost about 4.5 to 5 million in revenue. And on top of it, now you're looking at the upsides. China is about to open up and launch product. You're looking at about 1 billion population with significant need for a technology like this. And on top of it, we have growth in Mexico and Europe, and then now we are looking at partnerships. So that helps us financially, so it's not all burn rate. And then we are also have done some funding. We most recently announced the 13.9 million registered direct financing, which also invites a lot of institutional support for a company, which really means a great deal for the health of the company.
And following that secondary offering, Rodman and Renshaw estimates your cash position is at about $19.2 million. Is that about right?
That is roughly correct, because at the end of December, we had a little bit more than 10, and then we gave guidance to the market that our burn rate as a global company is about 4.1 to 5 million per quarter. And but I just want to highlight that we have operations and manufacturing in Netherlands, and operations and manufacturing in Mexico, and also in California. So we are talking about global costs.
Right, and we've mentioned China. You signed a deal in 2007 with the biggest pharmaceutical company in China to distribute Microcyn-based products. You also signed a deal with a big supermarket company in China to distribute through supermarkets. So what's your projection, rough projection, for how that's going to help your bottom line going forward?
So far we have not given any guidance to the market, and the reason for that is we want to make sure we visit China, sit down with our partner, and make sure the product is positioned correctly in the market. In other words, we want to position it against antibiotics, as we did in our phase 2 trials. And so that helps with the pricing, that helps with the positioning, marketing of the product. And then based on those discussions, we will provide a revenue forecast to the market shortly.
Do you have any sense of when FDA approval, and I say when, we're going to be optimistic here, when FDA approval will come through for Microcyn as a drug? Do you have a rough idea?
Well, we can estimate. As you know, FDA is very hard to forecast, as it is very difficult to forecast the public market. But our expectation is we will meet with the agency middle of this year to talk about the beautiful data that we have from our phase 2 trials, and then talk about next stage of clinical trials. And should we begin our pivotal trials, then roughly you're looking at about 2 years to complete those trials and then file for an approval with the agency.
Okay, well, we're going to keep an eye on your progress, and thank you very much for joining me today.
Absolutely, it was a pleasure. Thanks so much, Sasha.
Thank you. I've been speaking with Hoji Alimi. He is the co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Oculus Innovative Sciences. Thanks very much for joining me on today's CEO Signature Series. I'm Sasha Salama.